introduce Mike Bestor, our city manager, for a little bit longer. So after 21 years, he has been really amazing, dedicating amazing amounts of time and energy to this city, and the list goes on and on and on all his contributions. And on your tables, I know there is the write-up in there for you, because I was going to summarize that, but it's right there. And we have a little something for you, Mike, just as a little thank you for all your time and energy that you have spent helping the city. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Kelly and Don. That's very nice. This will probably be one of the ones I take to the nursing home with me. But I kind of like this. So there's a lot of chamber business today. So I know we're running late, and I understand some of you have jobs or pretend you have jobs. And if you have to get up and leave while I'm talking, I will not be offended. And besides, in 2 or 3 months, I'll lose all my ability to get even with you. So feel free to do that. As I guess most of you know, I've announced my retirement as soon as council finds somebody to replace me, and they're actively working to do that as quickly as they possibly can. But it's so I'm looking forward to a new phase of my life, right? And I'm taking up new activities, looking for things to do. So for example, I've been doing a lot of cross-country skiing lately. So one of the things I think I might do is move to a smaller country. But let me give me just a minute of personal privilege. Let me introduce my daughter, Andrea. Stand up, Andrea. Andrea works at the Colorado Railroad Museum, and she's been there for, 2 years now. And when she got there and started hanging around with chamber folks, somebody told her that at some of these events I've made jokes at her expense, her and her brother's expense. So ever since then, she makes sure she comes, But I told her that's not true, and I really don't do that. Because Golden, for the last 22 years, Golden has really been a wonderful place to raise kids. And I'm eternally grateful to the men and women of the Golden Police Department who have helped me do that. But it's a lot of fun to have Andrea, my granddaughter Lily, who's 9 years old, live here in town. So at Lily's last birthday, for example, she, we asked her what kind of birthday party she wanted to have. And she said she wanted to have a Cinderella theme birthday party, which was great. What I did was I invited all the little girlfriends over to the house, and I made them scrub my floors. And it's part of the so, and then my son Nick, he's living and working up in the Loveland area, and so we communicate mainly by text messages. And it's kind of interesting now that he pays his own cell phone bill. He's very careful about how long the messages are, right? So he uses all the abbreviations that the kids use, right? For example, instead of writing out please, he just writes PLZ, right? You've seen that. And so he does that to save money on his cell phone bill. But what I figured out is that's a really good strategy. So when I get a text message that starts out PLZ, I respond immediately, NO, because that has fewer letters. It has fewer letters than YES. And I don't know how much money he's saving on his text, but I'm saving a bundle of money. But Nick used to live in my basement. We had struggles. But I figured out Peter's gonna help me with that. If he ever moves back in, I figured out a little kitchen remodel that will alleviate one of the stress points that we always had. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all my appliances and replace them with vending machines. So anyway, so as I said, I'm gonna retire, and council is is actively looking for a replacement. I hear a lot of people tell me, "Oh, they'll never be able to replace you," and that's not true. Last year, the city council hired a new municipal judge, and they just absolutely hit it out of the ballpark. They got just a great lady who's judge, and the Chamber of Commerce board, replaced. You see, I have no illusions that anybody will remember me when I'm gone. But I am seriously very proud of what's happened in this city over the last 2 years. The one thing in my business, as in most of yours, is you try to leave it better than you found it. And I think I can definitely say that I did that. Golden is in such great financial shape. Our infrastructure is well maintained, up to date. Our vehicle fleet, all our equipment, everything is up to date. We've got a team of employees that are really dedicated to the mission of making Golden the best place to live, work, and play, even though most of them can't afford to live here. But they are dedicated to that. You read a lot about employee health insurance, and how that's breaking a lot of businesses and companies. And we got a health insurance program that works great. We got about $1 million reserve in our account. We haven't substantially raised the amount that the city has to pay or the employee has to pay in a very long time. And through our good HR department, we got a really good system. You're going to see a lot in the paper in the next couple of years about unfunded liabilities with governments, because the Government Finance Officers Association changed the way you have to report unfunded liabilities. The only unfunded liability we have is our volunteer fire department pension fund. We closed that to new members about 5 years ago in anticipation of that, and that will just work its way out and will not be a problem to Golden ever, ever, ever. We have one of the best water supplies in the state. We worked for 12 years to build the Grinnell Reservoir, which is just outside of Empire, which makes us practically drought-proof. I got to knock on wood when I said that, but we are really, really good shape on water. It was a huge struggle. It took many years, took some very clever negotiating, took some very clever strategies, and took a lot of guts on a lot of council members, but we got it done, and we're in good shape. Our property values are tremendous. If you know anybody who's tried to buy a house in Golden, it's pretty hard. They sell fast as they become available. And they held their value all through the recession, and they're continuing to go up. We got a great citizen group. A lot of people participated in Vision 2030. We've got great direction for the future. We've had such an incredibly successful urban renewal authority downtown that just was everybody downtown last weekend? Did you see the crowd in March? Do you believe that? We didn't used to get a crowd like that ever downtown. And here in March, it was a nice day, but we were full. And that's all due in very large part to the Golden Urban Renewal Authority and a lot of other stuff. Once we got rid of the Hested's building and got that new building up, the whole town took off. Everything we've done, everything we've accomplished, we've been criticized for it by somebody, and it's been so much fun. Do that. One of the things with that I've fought for the last 21 years is this idea of a beltway through Golden, and we've been very, very successful on it. I used to say when we started out, people ask me, well, when are they going to build this? And I'd say, the only way they're going to build this is over my dead body. And then I realized, well, that's pretty stupid. There's some big dogs that want to get this thing built. So I started to say, the only way they're going to build this is over Dan Hartman's dead body. And I think I threw a couple mayors into that mix along the way. But surely since Mayor Sloan's been elected, in her first 2 years, we've made greater progress on figuring out solutions that could work for everybody than we have in the previous 18 years. So thank her when you see her. So 2014 was a really great year. City Council did a lot of really important things. They spent the first half of the year on marijuana, talking about marijuana, and whether they should authorize the retail sale of marijuana. They eventually decided unanimously they're not going to do it, but they had this huge public process, which was really interesting. We had, tons and tons of people coming up to the podium to speak, and usually when you get that, as long as I've been in this business, you pretty well know. So I'm watching a hockey game, but I came up with this great game to play. As I watched people come up to the podium, I was guessing whether they were going to be for the retail sale of marijuana or against it, and I had about 98% accuracy. But I was seriously concerned, if we did have retail marijuana sales, that they have so much cash in that business that they would force a lot of other merchants out of prime real estate, and we didn't want that. And of course, council said that doesn't fit our image as a healthy community. We don't want it, and they said no. But it is an interesting time. The city managers in Jefferson County, we get together once a month to work on cooperative things, and the school superintendent usually shows up. We work together. We develop pretty good friendships. Well, the city manager of Westminster retired in January, so we all chipped in. We bought him a couple of nice bottles of wine. But the city manager from Edgewater, which has lots of pot shops, brought him a little gift card to one of his stores that he said was worth about you could trade in for like a joint. I said, hey, Shay, I'm retiring too. And I've been city manager in Golden a hell of a lot longer than Brett's been city manager in Westminster. So I can't wait till we have that party. Council also adopted a Clear Creek management plan. Clear Creek got occupied and got overwhelmed not too many years ago. We put a ton of money into fencing and hardening the bank and into adding park rangers. We totally prohibited alcohol, glass, cigarettes, dogs at large, so we got control over it. We kept out the people that came there just to drink and party, and got control of it. But it was, and we had a lot of citizen input. It really worked out well. Council also initiated things like the Better Block Party that they did in Miners Alley to try to add some more energy to that. We had the USA Pro Cycle Challenge came through last year. We had big crowds for that. They are also going to they're going to start the final day, Sunday, here. It'll be like the first year. They'll come through Washington Avenue 3 different times. We finally negotiated a more financially sustainable arrangement with them. So if you've never seen that, even if you're not into bicycles, it is really cool to see all the whole caravan of all the support vehicles going through at 40 miles an hour, and the guys standing on the back of motorcycles, filming it. It's something worth watching. Ride the Rockies came here last year. We also received the League of American Bicyclists Silver Award. And then council just last week granted my request to impose a moratorium on new special events. I don't know if you noticed, but Denver announced a couple of months ago that they were putting a moratorium on new events because it's just growing and growing too much. And so a lot of those events that wanted to go to Denver were trying to come out here. Everybody wants to be on Washington Avenue. Everybody wants to be under the arch, and it just became nuts. So we needed a timeout so we could get some policies developed and see what we're going to support, what we're not going to support, what's going to be good for Golden, what isn't going to be good for Golden. So we'll have that discussion this summer. We hope the chamber will be very involved in those discussions. So let me introduce you to the staff who's really made things happen in the past year. Will you hand me one of those informers? Let me start with the most junior member of our team, who's only been with us 6 years, Carlin Kelly. Carlin, stand up. Carlin's nervous and justifiably so. See, one of the reasons I didn't want to have a long period of time between announcing my retirement when I'm actually gone is I don't want people to treat me like a lame duck, right? Like they could ignore me like I'm going to be gone. And of course, Carlin was first to do that. I'm not a micromanager, but the one thing I always insist on is that when the Informer's getting ready to go to press, I always proofread it and exercise a little editorial comment, except on the mayor's column. And because, bad grammar and bad spelling, I had 4 years of Latin in high school, so, it's a thing for me. So we had an argument about the article on page 5. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I approved it, and the cover I approved was a gorgeous shot from Table Mountain of the valley in Golden. I was out of town when this hit. So I fired her. Then I rehired her again. But so she showed me this article she wrote on page 5, and Carlin, come on. Carlin, I hired her away from Channel 9, which is the NBC affiliate. So she didn't write this article herself. She had one of her old NBC friends help her, Brian Williams. So I did make her take out the part about me rescuing the child from the raging waters of Clear Creek. That's not it. There's a couple other things. But Carlin has made it 6 years. Anyway, we're glad to have you. So let me move on and introduce somebody who actually did once pull a child from the raging waters of Clear Creek is our police chief, Bill Kilpatrick. Bill, stand up. Bill, would you stand up one more time? See, the 8 years in a row, this man has won the National Best Dressed Police Chief Award. And as you can tell, he's got several years left before he retires. But what you want to do is, the minute he announces he's going to retire, sell all your Nordstrom stock. Bill does a great job. Bill also comes to all the city council meetings to provide security. As you know, things are kind of weird out there in the world. And, having him in the back of the room to provide security gives council a good feeling. Of course, they don't know him as well as I do, but he runs a terrific police department. He was part of the leadership in the county that has accomplished two really, really important things for Golden. One, we just signed an agreement with several other jurisdictions to buy a joint record management system. So a new computer system, keep track of everybody, the arrests and police reports and all that kind of stuff. Ours is terribly outdated and cumbersome. And the problem is, being a small city, we can't buy the capability that a big city can buy just by ourselves. Plus, we can't afford it, plus they won't even sell it to us. And so we have to buy a lesser quality system, and we have to spend a lot of money. So Bill's worked with other police jurisdictions, and we're going in together, and we're going to share a really top of the line system. The other thing that we're doing is we will soon be presenting to all our councils and to the county commissioners an intergovernmental agreement to form a joint county-wide dispatching center. We have, it's another problem for us, particularly being so small, is having dispatchers on. And so, and many times we have one dispatcher on, all by herself. It's at 2 o'clock in the morning, all hell breaks loose. There's a fire, there's a shooting, there's a speed, there's whatever. And if you're all by yourself, it really gets tough. Plus, it's the toughest job. It's the one job in the city I could not do, don't want to do. And so we're going to have a county-wide system so that there will be promotional opportunities, there will be support opportunities, and it will be great. And all the, so we'll have one central location. So all the chiefs are kind of pleased about that because it'll be one central location. So the cops, won't be going into dispatch like they do now, and it's gonna, some of these guys, it's gonna cut into their social life. But we do have a really good police department. We got a really good police chaplaincy program, and our chaplains have, and Dan Tempe, who gave the invocation, is certainly one of the leaders, have reached out to other police agency chaplaincies, and they've developed a pretty good mutual support network. So when something big happens, that they can all come well-trained, not just some pastor who feels like they're doing good, but people who are well-trained in dealing with helping first responders. And so that's going to be, that's really cool, the way they're taking that to a whole new level. Police department is accredited by a group called the Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation, and they just had it renewed for the third time. I was down in Albuquerque when the commission makes their final decision, and these are police chiefs from some of the biggest agencies in the country. And it was very interesting to listen to the questions they asked. They asked questions of all these police departments applying about their diversity, about their training, and about their culture. And it's so obvious that most of the police departments in this country are so incredibly professional that a place like Ferguson is an outlier, and they get all the publicity and all the press, and the agencies that are accredited, that have their policies reviewed, that have to submit to peer review, that get questions like that, and have to meet standards like that is the norm. So let me tell you one quick story about your Golden police officers. This happened on December 20th last year, about almost 5 o'clock at night. We got a call from some people in the canyon that a car had gone into Clear Creek, which does happen quite frequently. So we had 4 cops get there right away. Well, the fire department, of course, is getting ready. But the 4 cops. So we had 3 of our officers and 1 school mines officer, and the school mines police department and our police department work very, very closely together and help each other all the time. 4 young officers, big, good-looking, strong guys, and according to the witnesses, the first 2 in, the man from the car is laying half out the window with his face underwater. These guys immediately, and this is December, mind you, late in the afternoon, drop their gun belts, jump in the water, pull the guy out of the car, take him over to the far bank, which was closest, and start CPR. The other 2 guys come in, drop their gun belts, head for the car to see if there's anybody in there. And there wasn't, but there was the one guy. And one of the officers, the shortest officer, told me at one point he was in over his head. All right, December 20th, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Clear Creek. You know how cold that is. So they were, unfortunately, the man did not survive, but that's, that was a tremendously heroic effort. And they were given an award at the police awards banquet last month. And I surprised them because I knew the rest of the story, that once the victim, went off in the first ambulance, there was a second ambulance on scene. So all these young guys are in the back of this ambulance, soaking wet, trying to get warm. And the medic said, "Guys, I'm sure you all know this, that the best way you got to get warm is you got to strip down, wrap yourself in blankets, and huddle together." And they're all like, "I'd rather die, man, right here." That's true. Not everything I say is true, but that's true. So Steve Glick's still here. He had a meeting. Steve, stand up. Steve is Director of Planning and Economic Development and Community Development. Steve has been with us for 25 years. Bill Kirkpatrick, I don't think I mentioned, has been with us for 26 years. So you see, a lot of these people predate me, so I'm not to blame. But Steve's in charge of just about everything. He's done an incredible good job this year. He has presented, because he has such a broad portfolio of stuff, he presents to council almost every week. And I've been watching him now for 22 years, right? And it's the best analogy I can find. It's like like using a blender, but you don't have a top. And he, you know, but he's so creative, you know. Sometimes the voices in his head come up with really awesome ideas, and it's great. It's like getting 2 employees for the price of 1. But our economy's doing great. You know, our retail sales are doing well. We've gotten a lot of new businesses. Spider Cove's just completed an expansion. Gunslinger's going in for another expansion. You know, they're running 2 or 3 shifts. A lot of new businesses out of Coors Tech Center. We got a 100,000 square foot building going in on Colfax that will have small 5,000 square foot, you know, startups. So we got a lot of good, serious, strong companies in this town who started out in some of that flex space and grew and became very successful. So we're doing really, really well. Steve also took charge of the transition as GURA changed its focus and the voters approved a new downtown development authority. Steve's been in charge of that. We're getting all that done at very efficient staffing costs. Steve also just got a grant, $2.7 million grant through Dr. Cog to redo Washington Avenue from Highway 58 up to Highway 93, which, as you know, is a major entrance to the city. We're going to have sidewalks and bike lanes, and we're going to make it very, very attractive. That'll happen probably in 2016, 2017. Gateway Village, which is the development out at Highway 40 and I-70 up by those park and rides. Something that started before the recession, went under during the recession, has changed hands, gone through a legal process. It's starting to show signs of life. We'll probably have a hotel in there, maybe a convenience store. They've started digging the basement garage for the mixed-use facility on 13th Street by Jackson. That will house 6 live-work units on the first 2 floors, and then 8 condominiums, 4 on each of on the 3rd and 4th floors. We had 2 new apartment buildings, you know, that are brought online. The one on 8th Street's at 99 units. The one over here by the light rail station is 173 units. And bring in some, you know, lots of bright people to come help us make this work. One of the big issues Steve's been involved in is parking study. We had a comprehensive parking study done on downtown, trying to figure out the interface between us and the School of Mines. The police department is doing some reorganization, getting some new license plate readers so we can do a better job of monitoring parking. You're going to have a good discussion over the next 2, 3, 4 years about parking policies. I believe that we need to migrate towards paid parking, which nowadays, you know, nobody uses meters anymore, or even those kiosks. You can put time on your phone. Your phone can tell you where there's vacant spots. You know, you can vary the price. Merchants could get discounts. I'm sure we can work it out. I'm sure you can work it out. And just say this is all Bestor's fault. That's why we're talking about that. So anyway, Steve is a really strong member of my team and has been. Rod Torillo, Parks Recreation, Golf, Cemetery, History Museum. Rod's been with us 11 years, and he hasn't changed at all. He's still like he was when he was 11 years old himself, which is actually a good trait for a Parks and Recreation director. So this year we put in new playgrounds, Normandy Park, Beverly Heights Park, Golden Heights Park. We are, in 2015, he's going to build a new skateboard park out at Ulysses where the old one is. It won't be one of these ones that you see on ESPN, you know, that hosts the big events. It's not going to be that much. We're only spending $1 million on it. True. but it's the one we've got is old and definitely needs to be replaced. The Parks Department is also accredited by the National Recreation and Parks Association and has been reaccredited. One of the things RODS people do in conjunction with Public Works is to do the Golden Pride Days, which is the first weekend in May. So if you live in Golden, save your junk. It amazes to me how much junk we get rid of every single year. ROD, of course, provides lots of summer jobs here at Fossil Trace, at the Splash. And you know, we're always looking for lifeguards. Our lifeguards at the Splash had a couple of saves this year, which is really cool. The Jim Hayek, the pro here, was named the Colorado PGA Merchandiser of the Year. Adam Finch, his assistant, was named Colorado PGA Assistant Pro of the Year. Rod's also working with Bell Middle School for a middle school sports program, since that kind of went the way of with the difficult problems for the school district funding. He's also, one of the other little things he's in charge of is vending machines. So council decided we should go to healthy vending machines, right? Because one of council's big priorities is healthy communities, and that's, I think, widely shared by most of the citizens. So we put in healthy vending machines at the Golden Community Center and at City Hall. So, and surprisingly, sales are about what they were before. But I'm going to show you the secret of how that works. The glass in the front of those vending machines is a magnifying glass. So you think you're buying candy bar, right? But it's like one of those ones you give away at Halloween. And yeah, you know, you're mad when you first get it, but then you're too embarrassed to tell anybody you're going to buy a candy bar. Because you know you shouldn't be eating it anyway. So a couple other big things. The ride also got a grant for the West 44th Avenue Trail, so you'll be able to take the Clear Creek Trail out to Tony Gramsci's Park, past the Railroad Museum. And we're going to start building that. He also got a grant for the Astor House preservation. The Astor House, you know, looks nice, but the basement is not nice. It's really old. And so we're going to spend, I don't know, $250,000 or something in the basement, which nobody will ever see. And then, but, you know, if the building fell down, you'd see that. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get some money over the next few years to reprogram the Astor House and make it like it really was back in those days. The Golden History Center received the biggest grant it ever has from the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, which, by the way, the SCFD will probably be up for reauthorization next year. You know, that funds all the big things in Denver that we all use, like the Performing Arts Complex and the zoo and the, you know, their big museums. But it's hugely important for most of our institutions here, like the Art Museum, like the Railroad Museum, like our History Center. And if that doesn't get reauthorized by the voters, you know, our property values are going to go down. This will not be the kind of place you want to live, the metro area, because we won't have those cultural facilities. So it's really important that we all get out and vote for that. So, our finance director, Jeff Hanson. Jeff has been with us for 13 years. He's in charge of finance, payroll, of course, fleet, IT, and the court clerks. And he's very well respected in his profession. He's regularly asked by the Colorado Municipal League and other people to teach governmental budgeting and to newly elected officials, and he's often asked to be on various committees looking at different issues. He's also very, very respected by his fellow management team people, certainly by me. I trust him tremendously. He keeps track of our sales tax, which, thank you merchants, was up 8.5% from 2014 over 2013, so we appreciate that. But I could tell Jeff's starting to get soft, because in the budget hearings this year, as we're preparing the budget to submit to council, I caught him actually listening to the police chief and the fire chief as they made the request. Before he said no. I mean, he still said no, but he did listen. Susan Brooks, our city clerk, is the, stand up, Susan. Susan's been with the city for 36 years. And during that time, she's attended almost every single city council meetings, which explains a lot. But she's the official record keeper, right? She also does liquor licenses, elections. She also runs the elections, and she runs the cemetery records, which when I applied for the job, I thought, well, here's an opportunity to if you tie elections and cemetery records together. But that has nothing to do with the fact that in the last 21 years, there's never been a majority council elected to fire the city manager. John Bell's our fire chief. He's been with us 15 years. Huge changes in the volunteer fire department. It used to be that every member of the volunteer fire department lived in Golden, and that isn't the case. As the community has changed, it was getting harder and harder and harder to find people that would give that commitment. Plus, the time commitment's gone up. The job's become much more difficult, much harder. And so we have expanded it. We have shift volunteers now. We've got over 90. Most of them are trying to get on our fire department to give them a leg up to get a career job with one of the other fire departments in the area. We've got, a couple dozen of them that have done that on their days off, they come down and hang around our fire station because they have a great variety of calls, swiftwater rescue, high angle rescue, low angle rescue. And plus they get to use some really good equipment. So it really works. It really works well. It keeps the cost of our fire department down. We have added 3 full-time firefighters this year, officers who work a 24-hour shift. So we have almost constant coverage of a professional who takes care of training and who is available to drive the rigs. So they had in 2014, we had over 1,500 calls. That's over 130 calls a month, which is a lot. And mostly accidents and medicals, about 1 a week, fires, but mostly accidents and medicals. Because people do a lot of stupid things. Did you see the article about the London, England Fire Department that put out a message to its citizens, said, if you go see a certain movie, and that's real popular right now, be careful. Think through what you're going to try to replicate from that, because you might do something embarrassing. You might, like the most obvious one is remember where you put the keys to the handcuffs, right? No, that's true. They really did. They put out that warning, and they had other things too. But but remember where you put the keys to the handcuffs. So I asked John about that. He didn't have any idea what I was talking about. I think the only member of our team that's seen that movie is the police chief, but darn, he left. Don't tell him I said that. And Teresa Riley, who is our HR director. Teresa? Teresa has been with us for 19 years, and she's done a great job. She knows how to hire really good people. She's really pushed training. We've got a great group of emerging leaders, second, third level managers who we've put a lot of training in. She's really pushed our wellness program, employee wellness program, been very, very successful. And this is, we got a lot of guys who think a balanced diet means you got a big cookie in each hand, right? But she keeps us all on the straight and narrow. And then the person who has never come to one of these before, my administrative assistant, Denise Hish. Stand up, Denise. Denise has been with me for 15 years. A lot of people think she qualifies for sainthood. She keeps track of me. It really works out well. People say, hey, Mike, can I get on your calendar? I say, yeah, I'll call Denise. Hey, Mike, I got a real problem. I'm really angry about something. I said, I'll call Denise. And if I miss an appointment, I blame her. And I said, Denise, I know you're not to blame. I said, I'm blaming you. I'm not, So it works out. We've been a good team. And she also keeps track of council, and she sends them like to out-of-state conferences like You know, every year there's a National League of Cities conference in Washington, D.C. and someplace else. And she sends counsel, handles all the travel arrangements, sends them out, and she brings them all back. Even when I don't want her to be, but she does. President counsel excluded, of course. And then guy who is not here, who's been with the city for 27 years, is Dan Hartman, who works on big projects. And I found that my life is easier the more I can keep Dan out of town, out of the country. He's, you know, reading his proposals to council is kind of like reading science fiction. You know, I said, no, this will never happen. But he makes it happen. So the big project that we're working on right now is the 6th Avenue and 19th Street intersection. We're going to lower 6th Avenue, put a really nice bridge, pedestrian area on top of it, about the same grade that 19th Street is. It's going to be a huge project. It'll take almost 2 years of actual construction. We'll have traffic backed up from Boulder to Denver, which has nothing to do with the fact that I'm retiring now, really. It doesn't. But we had a good public process, involved the neighbors, you know, in designing it. We're rebuilding Heritage Road right across here from 6th Avenue to Highway 40. Again, we'll do sidewalks, bike lanes. We'll make it really nice. That road will actually be closed for a few months this summer. To get that done, that'll cause all kinds of problems. Keep people from getting to City Hall. And then we're fighting with Xcel Energy over streetlights. What Xcel charges us for streetlights is horrible. And so we're going to end up buying, or one way or the other, the streetlights because we know we can do it a whole lot cheaper. And it's been a huge fight that most people just kind of ignore because it's, you know, not a huge part of anybody's budget, but it is expensive. And Dan's been the leader. We've got a good coalition of cities that are working together to get the Public Utilities Commission and/or the courts to give us a break on that. Dan also started a Public Works Citizens Academy, which is good. One of the, you know, you take people out to show them how we jet sewers and how we sweep streets, and the people who participated in that Public Works Citizens Academy also got to ride along with a snowplow operator. So at this last big snow, this one lady from one of the neighborhoods around here was riding with the driver, and this gentleman came out, stood in front of the snowplow, and flipped off the driver, which happens. And we've also had people with guns do that because I don't know what they want us to do with the snow, but and the lady said, "Oh my God, I know that guy." So. See, you can find fun in anything if you really try. But Dan has been a big part of our success and doing the things we want to do. But you know, it's funny because I've been doing a lot of looking back. So like 20 years ago, shortly after I started, one of our citizens, who I shall not name, wrote a letter to the editor to the local newspaper, which printed it. Is Bob Short still here? He owned a paper at the time. She actually said in this letter that Dan Hartman needs to be confined to the state mental hospital in Pueblo. And as I look back, my life would have been a whole lot easier, you know, if I had done that. But anyway. So anyway, those are just a few of the 200 full-time employees, the 300 part-time and seasonal employees that make it work. And, you know, this has been great. This has been an absolutely wonderful career for the last 20 years. The city has been there to support me when I needed it and has been willing to let us make some mistakes and willing to let us try some wild and crazy things. And I think it's been fun, and I think it's been worthwhile. And the Chamber, our partnership with the Chamber has been critically important, and so I thank all of you for the great job you've done, and thank you for letting me do this for so many years. Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay.
Thank you, Mike Bestor, for every single time laughing at me when I called you for advice, but then helping me. I do appreciate it. Again, thank you, everyone. Be sure to say hello to a new friend on your way out. Miller Coors, thank you for being our title sponsor. Green Tomatoes Catering, thank you for the dinner, lunch, and the hospitality. Thank you, business members, for donating the door prizes. Thank you, my wonderful board, for working every day for the chamber. And don't forget to pick up your calendar on the way out and let me know how we can promote your business. Thanks for using Members First, and have a super great day. Thank you.